Project PB has begun, and this has given our pros not only a more competitive environment to practice the new set, but also to limit test and gauge the true strength of potentially new lines to arise. As such, for today, we are going to be jumping in game with the EU Pro Kojnid, playing in a no encounter and starting out with a both Karma and a Zaya pair. Item direction, we only have the chain to go off, so it's going to be interesting to see what we hold on to. Could consider Pebbles and just reutilize the Rift Beast, for example, to put into Pebbles 3. Do not have a road for that, unfortunately. Opted not to hold on to the Shen, instead going to be fielding this Kha'Zix, but we do... Edge of Night theoretically should be a great item for this Kha'Zix, but do not have that burst. With the Spear of Shojin, can definitely be considering to play around the Karma or maybe the Zaya as a pathway to something like an Exreal, Executioner Flex, and the max cap dominating the end game. For our Augment selection, Spreading Roots could help us establish this direction, generally also cook up some kind of a board. Patient Study better if we wanted to opt more into this lose streak plan, with the Slammin more playing as an econ augment for that win streak potential, then would probably commit to the Spear of Shojin slam. Protector's Vow would be a fine slam as well, but Spear of Shojin generally very flexible item to be playing around right now, and at least gives us that mana item which so many of these champions can utilize. Therefore, an interesting choice coming up already. I believe that we might be leaning more into establishing some form of a direction for ourselves, unless we are dead set to be playing around this Kha'Zix right away. And we would probably also want to scout around the lobby. With Spreading Roots though, and also if we hit that Blackthorn emblem, this is one way to absolutely nuke this Kha'Zix to go insane. Clear Mind, hard, if you can pull off a win streak, it's great. Otherwise, it's from the loss streak, you have to have a clear top line to be playing for, and currently the level 8 boards struggle on their level 8. They are great once you are able to make it to that level 9, but that is generally achieved through having this HP lead. Money Hungry, another just a generic G-Con augment, but instead he's going to be picking up Gold Destiny, did not like anything, and I mean, when you're going to be playing PB for 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes just ripping up these random augments and seeing... contesting yourself a little bit is going to be of great benefit. Particularly one of the things that separates some of the best players from us average TFT enjoyers is that they are way better at navigating these hard spots and converting them, maybe not into even top 4s, just saving LP in their climbs. Getting the 6th from a very hard spot is sometimes even more spectacular than getting like a 3rd or a 2nd. So we are going to be going for a full econ, and it seems that in his planner he has placed the Cassiopeia and Evelyn. Maybe he was considering that we can be playing around the Coven cash out. In theory, I believe Cassiopeia should not be a bad Double Trouble unit. Otherwise, I myself am yet to play around this augment, and I'm interested to see what kind of a board he's going to be cooking up. Remember, this is a distinct augment from the 2 tanky from the last set, which was mainly just balanced around Ornn Samira. That one gave the shield. Double Trouble gives more of the stats. And it seems that there is some board on meta TFT as well. Average 5. Alright. I mean, if there is a place to test this out and time, this would be it. And let's see if Kojnid can actually improve the dreadful AVP of this line. Can it succeed in a... I do not truly recognize many of these names right now, but this should be a project. This is a Project PB game. No, this is a Project PB game. So all the players there have achieved pretty much. I believe they should be challenger elo around for Kojnid to be in the same tier as them. Going to be picking up that Cassiopeia right away. Another chain is not a bad item, since if we are playing around that Rammus, he has that armor scaling. And I believe the idea why Cassiopeia should be good with the Double Trouble is because she has that dot stacking, right? Her dots can stack, and 2 Cassiopeias are going to be able to dot up the board quite a lot. And as long as this Rammus is able to stall long enough, it should be good. Now, the interaction I am also quite interested in seeing is how will these 2 Ramai synergize together, because they have that built-in taunt, and particularly if that your unitemized Rammus is going to be taunting off the one that is itemized, maybe you can spread some time, but that's going to get the unitemized one nuked. So let's see how that fares out. We have opted to slam that Bramble Vest. Also, a part that I did not just mention was that when we queued into this I think it's capital gains the correct name of the augment, whatever you stack up your interest and then cash it out on 3-3 the play. Both of us were full open, so our loss streaks got reset. Theoretically should be I guess it's more punishing for us. Yeah, it should be more punishing for us since they have an econ augment and we do not have one, so we definitely wouldn't want to have to end this on a 5 loss without well, gaining that econ and because we are going to be taking these losses anyhow. Nonetheless, we probably are still looking at the possibility of picking up an econ augment on 3-2, as the 3-cost reroll is going to be quite expensive. Even though we're not running as many units, we are definitely wanting to be hitting quite early on. And we get another chain, that is fine. Giant Slayer I'm maybe not too excited about. I mean, we would want to have a Void Staff coming right here. Going to be sacrificing even more player health for this extra goal. You can see he's evaluating it, and sometimes from a loss streak, I might personally be a little staying away from this as a thing to pick up, as, you know, you're going to be losing a lot of HP, but perhaps if you're able to believe yourself that you're going to be stabilizing, this extra gold can be quite worthwhile. Going to be going with the aggressive slam of the Giant Slayer, and of course we have this Teemo bug where Teemo is just shooting incredibly sized shrooms. Insert a bad joke here that probably shouldn't say about the shrooms and their size, but if you get the reference, you get it. Anyhow, prismatic ticket is probably what we're looking for. Generally, at 50% this augment has been busted. At 45%, this has been a little lacking. And the thing, but the general baseline with the prismatic ticket is that if you believe that your comp can win out on 3 stars, this is the thing to go for. Also, you're wanting to be accelerating your tempo. However, let's fall one step back. We need econ, and this is the option offered for us right away, and that's what we should be looking for. 1 buff, 2 buff shouldn't be too bad. Not exactly the stats Cassiopeia wants, but we get the Ranta heal, which is able to spread finally. Mana Gen, which finally then we would just be lacking AP. Radiant Rascal's Gloves, this would be, I mean, if we had enough items already tossed on, I believe it's Fiddle who's fitting this comp, this should be fine. Luxury subscription, great way for you into your fast 9 boards whenever you're able to push some tempo from this spot. Nesting Anvils, an augment that I have heard few pros such as Wigwag say that they like very much, simply because if you evaluate Anvil, Artifact Anvil is a gold augment, Component Anvil is like a 2/3 of a silver augment, 8 gold is also a silver augment, so you gain but at least in his analogy, it was that you get a little bit more than the prismatic augment, but we'll see. This gold might get adjusted a little bit later on down the line. Nonetheless, we probably need econ, and nesting anvils, well, theoretically should fit comp quite well. Something like a Dawncore might work well, or Light Shield's Crest on the Rammus. We probably need more econ than it's offering right away, right there. So we're probably we're picking up this prismatic ticket. High roll a Sentinel that we can be playing around for now. Just as a way to stabilize ourselves. We're still quite poor. Let's see if we're going to be evaluating, because from this loss streak spot we generally would want to be leveling on 3-5, and from there trying to stabilize our board in the last 2 rounds. Prismatic ticket could enable that for ourselves, but if we still roll, we're going to be looking at missing out on those interest breakpoints, and that's going to be quite tough. Seems that there might be an AFK player in the lobby. I'm going to be picking up an econ charm. Another thing is with these charms, in some ways, well, if you high roll a lot of these econ charms, you're in an incredible advantageous spot compared to someone who just sees in the early game the combat charms, especially in the spot where they cannot truly utilize them. I don't know, it's something that perhaps they should look at adjusting, but there's just so many bugs for them to be feeling, and getting rid of that. The set launch might be a little bit rough. Their time schedule is very tough. Let's see how and just to hope for the best. I mean, the game is playable, it's fun, but there are certain game-breaking bugs. As long as they are able to get rid of them, then hopefully the balance will come. We're going to be picking up a tier, as Protector's Vow is completely fine slam to be making, and we still need to bet Void Stuff. Find One Ram is going to utilize hopefully a little bit synergy with these free rolls we're able to pick up. Early Cannon, I mean, could help us stabilize right there, as we have that as here. Find that early Rammus too. But also the thing with 2 tanky is that sometimes you want to have these extra copies rolled very deep right here, all the way to 10 gold, and going to be investing our items to just stabilize. Perhaps didn't need to be slamming Protector's Vow against this adapter reroll player right here, as they are on 2.5 item master U1. The thing with the Cassiopeia is that you definitely need a lot of time for her, and a lot of time you need time for her to ramp up essentially. So you want to have a solid frontline foundation, going to immediately getting rid of this cannon just because he is such a huge gold investment on our board right away. Nicely playing around the 2 Blackthorn right there, just sacrificing this Veigar to gain a little bit of buff for our team. Completely fine right there. And against an Azir with an Eye and Rageblade, perhaps player was trying to play in some form of a Draven setup. Might have to stabilize on a Felios. Felios generally doesn't want that Rageblade, but hey, you sometimes slam and you can make use of it. And I think Mama Beak is fine to be holding that Rageblade in that kind of aspect. Nicely managed to bounce back the 2 rounds right there. Going to have a second Rammus too. The Void Staff comes, which is amazing for our spot, and the open cloak is completely fine, as we're still despite the scaling, we still want some magic resist onto this Rammus. Nicely trickle trick right there to gain the temporarily Sunfire Cape right there. Unbunched all the units, kept only the Rammus right there. So the item is forced onto him, and then we can complete it without slamming this open cloak right there. Very nice play. This is going to be a little bit of a tough fight. It's Master Yi 2 with that Brawler emblem, which is very strong on the right side, and we have the Veigar support in the backline. The Veigar too doing a lot. Perhaps this player has managed to streak one of those snowball champions, which is unfortunate because that was a crucial win for ourselves in my opinion. Exclusive customization, I generally like a little bit more econ and items in our situation because we are going to be having these double troubled units. Extra items can be quite strong in our spot, but perhaps he's going to evaluate this electro charge to be very strong. Whenever we are playing around such a strong frontline foundation, Rammus for Meg's last set, for example, also was a great user, and lots of pros are very hot on this Augment. Celestial Blessing, I am still yet to see someone pull this off. I personally do not know why it's in game. Ravagers again have that Omnivamp, and I don't know, maybe Master Yi when you don't have around him can utilize it. If someone knows the spot where to play around Celestial Blessing properly, just please let me know. I am in shambles for this 2-second set in a row. Duo Q, a little bit of econ, we do not have really space for these 5 costs, we lost some value. Glass Cannon, also a great combat option, and he seems to be leaning towards that Electro Charge. Because we need a little bit more frontline stall, we're doing AP damage. This should be a fine pickup for ourselves, because Combat Power is also another way for us to bridge this gap. Going to have to wait until the carousel to complete our last Rammus item. This is generally a little bit lower item game as we're entering stage 4 without both 3-item tank and 3-item carry, but thankfully our item economy has been played very well, that we, and a little bit of luck that we've gotten these 3 tiers, that we have been able to be a component shy of completing this 3-item Rammus. Against a Lux on the Blossom line, they had lots of belts. I wondered what was the time from the charm. We're going to be more stally, but this Cassiopeia is still going to be able to burn through. 2 Flora Fatalis also online for whenever we have these takedowns coming in from them we are assisting this Cassiopeia or even taking the kill because of the dot damage. They are able to heal up this Rammus even further, and interesting positioning that he's going for. Putting both of the Rammuses onto the same side, so let's see how we fare. We also have tackling the second Cassiopeia finally. It doesn't seem that the lower item Rammus can definitely taunt off the higher item Rammus, so a little bit of spread damage, but you just have to hope that he doesn't get nuked that way. A little bit of a tricky unit in that kind of an aspect. Looking to complete hopefully this last item onto the Rammus, I would imagine. Unless he was looking what he could be making from the pan, didn't pick up. Didn't go for the declaw right there. And also the in-game tooltip does show some magic resist scaling, so... No, we picked up the declaw, okay. I perhaps missed. But yeah, he showed some the magic resist scaling, which was previously, at least on the stat sites, it was only armor resist, armor scaling, but that's why I was referring to it. Yeah, going for this not only double trouble it seems, but we're also going with the best friends positioning, which should in some way, as long as allow it to have a little bit more of a aggro on one side for this Rammus to pick up. But perhaps I would have liked that we maybe positioned the weaker fiddle behind the stronger of the Ram. Oh yeah, exactly, with this, right? So this way our fiddles are both contributing to the both sides, and in that way also contributing to these takedowns, which can then funnel the HP into the Rammuses or whatever the lowest HP unit happens to be at the time. the Soraka off in the weak corner. Both Cassiopeia is stuck on the same corner so that we can ensure the dot stacking to be happening as fast as possible. Nice way to make the note of these things, how these units are able to synergize together against this Dravenborn coming to a very close fight, but the dots ticked into the last second enabled us with the Soraka 2 staying alive, being able to pick up another win. Crucial wins, top 6 secured, gunning for that top 4 from this kind of a spot. Going to roll the ones, I suppose, for fun. Have another jeweled gauntlet. We're still missing anti-heal, so probably looking at that Morello's first, and then we can maybe just make a jeweled gauntlet or something. Passing up on, I think it was 2 fiddles right there. I don't know, it was because of missing in a planner, or no, he's just simply not going for it. He's wanting to dig deep for this last Cassiopeia. It does not hit exactly in time. Going to be going with a TG, so we can slap that on second Ramos, I suppose. Yeah, might be a little bit a better play, but oh man, we missed so many fiddles. Maybe this fiddle 3 could have helped also as another Wusu tank. And, well, another neat part of this comp, when the poisons are ticking, if this Ramos is alive, all the backline access can sometimes not exactly pay off. Finally, this last Cassiopeia, and we have opted to slam the TG onto the Soraka instead of the second Ramos or the Fiddlesticks, and probably keeping on hold because, well, some of these items, yeah, at least these items she probably can utilize a little bit better than the whatever our front line is, and then we can slot in this another Soraka in the level 8 so that we can complete the board and gain the stat buff for her as well. Going on a little win streak right here, which is amazing. Should definitely now be in a comfortable position to top 4 from this spot. But well, perhaps he's explaining to his chat some of his itemization, because probably would want to be scouting and, yeah, fishing for these combat charms right away right now to bridge the gap. Scouted that we have this yeah, this is the Blossom play around the Lux right there. The Lux does have an angle on our backline. The Ahri is also going to be chipping, and the Ashe as well. A little nasty in terms of how they were targeting on our Ramos on the same side, but the bots have went out, and the Soraka is going to be the banana off the fight and securing ourselves a top 4. Very neatly converted right there. So let's see how we fare against the higher caps. My concern is that we simply might be lacking, like, again, Cassiopeia needs time, and the fights might have become a little too bursty. There is this backline access which can kill off one of the Cassiopeias as well. I'm going to be leveling and slotting in the Azir instead to get the 2 Executioner for our Soraka, and this is also an interesting kind of positioning. Oh, perhaps we had the shield charm right there to buy ourselves a little bit more time. Our weaker units have been taken off. The dots are scaling, but we are able to pick up another win. Now in a commanding position to even top 3 from here. Reroll shop at all 4 costs. May be chasing that Soraka 2 or another Soraka 2, but I actually like the slot in of the Azir to just have an Executioner buff again. So shuffling our positioning a little leaves our unitemized fiddle a little exposed right here against the fast 9 board. Thankfully still on the Elder Dragon 1, but the Draven 2 in the backline has been shown to be quite of a menace recently, and yeah, they're going to be blowing up our front line with this all extra damage amp and this dragon just absolutely breeding on everything. Despite the eco and augments onto their side, this fast 9 board still seem to be dominating the meta, and in my opinion, the 5 costs still need a little bit of a nerf, and perhaps maybe a buff to the Gnar, as the unit sometimes just does absolutely nothing, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just utilizing him wrongly. Going to be picking up this another Soraka, and one strategy with this prismatic ticket is that you can be gunning for a 3-star 4 cost on level 8 whenever you're able to make level 9. Now we hope to complete this Fiddle trio here on level 8 instead. Did not have a time to perhaps move the TG over. We have opted to itemize the second Soraka instead of the second Cassiopeia, which is a nice note to make. Simply, she's going to utilize these items quite well and going to be a little bit more powerful as we have the Double Trouble buff on her and able to clean up in this fight quite nicely. They were unable to break through our front line. That secures ourselves a top 3. So we have this Blossom and a fast 9 board that we're going to be having probably the toughest time against. I do not think the frontline improvements were enough for us to withhold the strength of this. Now seems to be Elder Dragon 2, which is going to be quite rough. They also have that Ivern scaling. There is that Tarek, which is an amazing tank. The Fiddle is draining, has some AP items, but our Ramos is on the opposite side. And yeah, they're just going to be blowing up blowing up ourselves. So how are we going to be faring against this Abolosum player? It seems they're probably transitioning also to the cap. Going to be opting to move the items instead of and back to the Cassiopeia. Perhaps not satisfied with the damage from this Soraka. Now this, yeah, they have transitioning into the Spellweaver variant, having that also the Ivern scaling onto their side. Our Rammus is positioned nicely, but there is just too many threats. The backline access is going to be able to trickle us down, and we simply weren't unable to buy enough time for these dots to tick off to finish off the last remaining Vega right there. And that is going to give us a top 3 finish. Very interesting to see someone make this augment finally work. Nice to identify the synergy between the units, how they can utilize it to its true potential. And otherwise a very classic, nice reroll game, played around the tempo quite well, bounced back from that loss streak. We're not afraid to take big econ hits just to stabilize and secure our life bumper for ourselves, to then be able to send it. Seemed to be quite stable onto these 2 stars as long as you had solid frontline presence. We're not afraid to slam items also, just to be able to preserve as much lives as we could. Made it to this level 8 cap, which generally just runs 4 different units, which is also quite neat. Maybe you can have the chance to gun for that Soraka 3 as well. Just struggle to compete against these higher of the caps, but when you're playing a board like this and stuck on level 8, that sometimes is just simply to be expected if the balance as well, particularly since we have this prismatic ticket as an econ option, which is heavily taxing when it's the only prismatic augment offered into the game. I will be making note of this comp, and I also hope that you learned something new, and I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.